So what I'm just putting on the channel here is a quick overview, or not really overview, but what I do as a controller and what you can sort of expect if you plan to be a controller in the end game level 30 content. So this is the Watchtower Containment Facility. It's a level 30 hard alert. And this is the last boss in it, the Brainiac Eradicator, I think it is. So, gasp for air there. Weird. Yeah, basically what I wanted to show was what you're sort of going to be dealing with as a controller. So obviously the main thing you're going to think of straight away is your CC ability, so your crowd control. And that's totally correct. You're going to want to be taking out any ads that pop up, keeping them out of the fight for as long as you can. In this game, a lot of the ads can only be kept out for like 4 or 5 seconds, but if you keep 2 or 3 of them out, each for 4 or 5 seconds, that takes a lot away from the damage that's being done, and it helps the healer a lot. Less mana they have to, or power they have to use. And one other thing that a lot of people who don't play controllers or don't know too much about the game know is controllers are also your mana batteries. They're your power batteries in this game, essentially. So they're the ones that regen the group's whole power. And the thing I want to say is don't expect this to be huge damage while I'm doing this. So like as you can see here, bam, you get a couple of them out. Me and the tank, who's also actually a frost tank, CC a couple of them. So there's one out, then I throw one into the air, that keeps him out for a few seconds, not too long, but it's an extra couple of seconds. And then that one over there that's just got trapped in the ball, throw that one out for a couple of seconds. I mean, in total you've probably saved about 15-20 seconds of damage coming from these mobs, and it does help a lot, even if it sounds small. For smaller dungeons like this one, it doesn't help as much, but for the harder ones like maybe Smallville, it is really awesome. And what I was going to say is the build that I have for a controller is a complete support build. So my number 1 ability is the only one that does damage, really. It's going to do the damage and regen my power, and also lifts an enemy in the air for a few seconds. The rest are, like, my 2 is CC and AoE Ice Block CC, and my number 3 is regenning power to the whole group. My number 4 lowers the defense and traps them in a ball. My number 5 is a little bit of DPS, but that's the wrong button. I didn't mean to put that one down. And my 6 is a shield, a supercharge ability shield. So a lot of people think, you know, you're a controller, you should be doing some pretty comparable DPS compared to an actual person who's dedicated to damage, which will be the fire symbol in the game. Not necessarily true. Because as you can see, like with the CC that we just did there, it does do a little bit of damage. So you're turning them into a block. It's done like 44-50 damage. That's not a lot of damage, but it does get you. Well, you should always be above the tank and the healer as a controller. Unless they completely outgear you, you should always be above them. You shouldn't necessarily be above the damage class that's in your group, or another controller if they're built more for the DPS. So in this, I'm not clearly second, I'm easily second in DPS, but I'm nowhere near top. And the reason for that is the build that I have, and because of the fights in this game. Now the fights in this game usually don't have enrage timers. Some of them might have mobs that continually spawn, and if you don't kill them fast enough, there'll be a lot of mobs running around, but there's only 1 or 2 of those in the whole game. Not even the raids have them. So it's not like a WoW or Rift or any other MMO where it's like you hit 5 minutes, if you haven't killed them in 5 minutes, your group's done. There's no soft or hard enrages. So it's better to one-shot a boss in 10 minutes than it is to take 15 minutes doing 3 attempts, but on the 3rd attempt obviously kill him in, say, 4 or 5 minutes. There's no real benefit to doing it multiple times and then doing it really fast than there is to just do one long one. Even if it's just you and the tank doing it, or the healer and the tank, I mean, you may as well keep going, because it is possible that you could down the boss. And when your healer is low as a controller, you want to be able to give them mana or power. I keep saying mana, sorry. It is power in this game, but I'll probably keep referring to it as mana. And as you can see, the healer starts getting low. As soon as they get low, you throw a power regen up. My 3 ability regens the lowest 3 members of the group. So that's like, gives them about 15% of the power, depending on whatever stat I have at the time. And they never really go low, which means that you don't have to worry about your healer running out of mana. And if you're doing your CC job right, there shouldn't be more than 1 or 2 people taking damage at a time. So in theory, I mean, you never really, unless you're pulling aggro, have any hardship on the healer or the tank. The tank's got the boss, the healer is healing the tank, and occasionally maybe has to throw some of their heals, like an AoE. But other than that, I mean, they don't have to strain themselves, because you can easily get preoccupied with doing so many things at once that you might let the tank die. And there you go, you know, the ads spawn again. As soon as they come out within a second, 3 of them were CC'd. They break out pretty fast in this game, but that keeps them out for a few seconds. I'm retarded, and I actually go straight for all of the mobs on my own, and I die. But yeah, I mean, that's essentially what a controller can sort of expect in a dungeon setting. As you can see here, I'm easily below, and that popped off really fast. I'm easily below the other controller, who is mainly spec'd more for DPS, but I'm above the tank and the healer by about 10,000 damage or so. And nobody should be surprised that the tank and healer are so high in damage, because the tank abilities are designed to do enough damage to hold aggro, and the healer is designed to essentially do damage while they're healing, because they have to regen power. So yeah, that was my video on the controller. I'll probably throw one up on the tank and the healer if I can ever get them to 30, because I keep getting ganked. But yeah, I hope to throw one up on sort of everything. This is the controller, obviously, and this is a mental. So if anyone's playing gadget, it's a little bit different as to how you want to work things. But you know, there's always the options there.